the president, try though that he might, his unstable and inconsistent messaging that has even his supporters unsure if there's a light at the end of this tunnel.
Yeah, I want to return to this point from the dissents about the impact of this decision today on our democracy. And, in response to Chuck, and Chuck's absolutely right, the majority says there'll be case-by-case hearings to determine whether something is an official act or not. I just don't think, and I agree here with the dissent, that that's any sort of protection here. We've never needed those kinds of case-by-case hearings before. We've always just assumed a president is not above the law. And in these hearings, these case-by-case hearings, as Lisa points out, you can't even introduce any evidence of a president's motive, why he was trying to do something like pressure the Justice Department or do whatever. And there'll be a presumption in favor of the president. As Justice Jackson says, that's just ridiculous. And here's what practically this means. A president, like Donald Trump, can take a blatantly illegal act, slap the label, hey, this is an official act, and write that in the preface to whatever the heck he's doing. And now we're going to have hearings and so on before district judges and then appeals to determine whether it's truly an official act or not. And it'll all take place against the backdrop of this Supreme Court decision, which says when you pressure, if you're the president and you pressure the Justice Department to throw out or to impugn an election results where you obviously have the greatest of personal motives, that's not a personal act, that's an official act. So if that's your standard for what is an official act, much else is going to be official. And what does this mean practically? I think it means if you're Joe Biden, if you're a Democrat who's running for the president, your path right now is clear. You have to run against the Supreme Court. You have to run against this decision. This is not America. If you want to make America great again, you got to return to the rule of law. This decision today, unfortunately, is a blueprint on how to end the rule of law.
Are you arguing? I have to ask you, because you wrote a piece, MAGA drunk monkeys are threatening to shoot 4 different countries since Sunday. So, they're obviously moving. It looks like we're ready to attack Venezuela. Britain has just stopped sharing intelligence with us. Talk about Britain, our number one ally, not sharing intelligence with the United States of America anymore.
Well, in World War II, at the beginning of World War II, the Anglo-Saxon nations decided to work with France and to create a intelligence sharing system called Five Eyes, right? Yeah. Five Eyes was the U.S., Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the United Kingdom. That has been in operation since 1941. And Five Eyes is our single most important intelligence communications network. When we see something coming at them, we call them. When they see something coming at us, they call them. But now Britain has announced that they don't want to take part in sharing their intelligence because they have very good networks in the Caribbean, which comes from their colonial days, because America might be conducting war crimes with them. And right now, I believe we have killed 76 people in these airstrikes. And none of them, look, the 2 people that survived that came out of it, we turned them over and just let them go. So these extra legal murders is what they are, because it's not a crime to deal drugs. They are not terrorists. There is no authorization for the use of military force like there was in the war on terrorism. It's just Donald Trump creating entertainment, and Britain wants no part of that.
Speaking of terrorism, I swear I don't save stories just to trigger you. They just exist. So Nori says, the fact that MAGA is jumping up and down complaining about the election of Mamdani in New York, while Trump is welcoming a confirmed leader of al-Qaeda into the Oval Office with a smile and open arms, should really make you question their claims of patriotism. I don't even know what. Did you see this scene yesterday with that guy who attacked our troops in
$10 million bounty on his head just a couple of years ago. Been known to have beheaded people as part of the al-Qaeda Jabhat al-Nusra network there, who has overthrown the Assad government in Syria. Now, what's interesting is that he is a jihadist, no questions asked, but he is our kind of jihadist, where he says that he's not going to take any interest in Israel, not going to take any interest in the West, but he now wants to keep the Russians there for Russian investment. This could end in a moment with a suicide bomb. to where there could be a completely different leadership in Syria. So the United States embracing him is part of Trump's belief that he's going to, stabilize the Middle East with his amazing Abraham's Accord. It really came about through a decade or more of fighting by the Syrian rebels to get control of that country. Now Trump is on this kick about saving Christians in Nigeria. Well, the Christians in Syria are imperiled, and we'll see whether he is at war with his buddy in a short time or if his buddy's going to help out. Who knows?
Did we talk about giving Qatar, who is funding Hamas, an airbase in Idaho? Did we talk about that last?
Yeah, we talked about that, and there's some mitigating circumstances there that we don't actually give them an airbase.
Okay.
They set up their own airbase, their own facility on our air bases. The problem with Qatar, though, is that Trump seems to see them now as the big players in terms of getting cash out of people, and he has no problem dealing with Qatar. Unless it has to do with a Democrat that has some relationship with Qatar. But as you know, Pam Bondi was being paid $100,000 a month by the government of Qatar. His entire administration is tied at the hip to that country.
Okay. As someone, you and your entire family have served our country for many, many years. It was Veterans Day yesterday. I just thought I would save something that will trigger me and you, as my father is buried there.
Thanks.
And my mother. Yes. Leave it to Trump to make a political speech while addressing Veterans Day crowd at Arlington National Cemetery. What an embarrassment. He's supposed to be honoring veterans, but instead he's honoring himself and his MAGA morons. He claimed he has a 92% approval rating. Was that what he...
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Lisa said, attacking a former president's character at Arlington Cemetery on Veterans Day breaks my heart. This president is beyond pathetic. My stomach turns every time he walks on that sacred ground where my father is, Malcolm.
And it should. And you should feel disgusted because he was going to go where he couldn't just go there and lay a wreath, right? Like every other president does, and to make the words of, his words about the words of valor of those who gave their lives in the defense of the country. No, first he attacks France about World War I and World War II. All right, my grandfather, my granduncle, my father, Nancy's have fought to liberate France. My grandfather has the Legion of Honor, but not Donald Trump. Donald Trump insults our allies. Then he insults the effort by Britain, who lost hundreds of men fighting in Afghanistan. Same with Canada. 165 men lost fighting in Afghanistan for America. He just can't do it. He is a coward, a yellow-bellied coward who ran away from war 5 times and now is proposing to build an Arc de Trump at the circle in front of Arlington Cemetery so that all of our honored dead would have to go through some facade that he made up as a monument to his cowardice.
Yeah.